The goat wouldn't stop headbutting the wall, not the playful little thump it sometimes gave when it wanted grain, but full-body impacts that rattled the boards and made dust fall from the rafters. And when the family finally smelled gas, they realized the goat wasn't being destructive. It was trying to get them out before the whole farmhouse became a spark away from catastrophe. The Callahan place sat on the edge of Briar Hollow, where paved roads gave up and gravel took over, and where the hills held old farmhouses like they were reluctant to let them slide into the creek valleys below. The property had been in the family for 3 generations. A modest white farmhouse, a lean-to shed, a small goat pen, and a weathered barn that had seen better decades. It wasn't a hobby farm. It was a working one. Chickens for eggs, goats for milk, a big garden, and enough repairs always waiting that nobody ever finished a list before starting a new one. Mara Callahan was 35, practical, and tired in the particular way of someone who managed a household like a small business. Her husband, Ben, worked maintenance at the county water plant and picked up side jobs on weekends. They had 2 kids, Noah, 10, who liked tools too much for his age, and Sadie, 6, who treated every animal on the property like a friend with feelings and a backstory. Their goats were mostly gentle except for one, a stubborn, barrel-chested doe named Pickles, who had decided long ago that fences were suggestions and humans were slow learners. Pickles was not a sweet goat. She was smart, opinionated, and possessed an almost comic commitment to doing whatever she had decided was necessary at that moment. Breaking into the feed shed, stealing laundry off the line, knocking over buckets just to watch people react. Mara called her a menace, with fondness and exasperation mixed into one word, but Pickles had never ever acted afraid. That was why the sound woke Mara so fast. It was just after midnight when the first impact hit. Thud, followed by a second, harder one. Thud, and then a rapid rhythm. Thud, 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 like someone slamming a heavy door in panic. The farmhouse shuddered slightly. A picture frame in the hallway rattled against the wall. Ben sat up in bed, instantly alert. What the hell? Mara was already out of the covers, heart hammering. That's the goat. Pickles? Sadie mumbled from the next room, half asleep. Ben grabbed his flashlight and pulled on boots. She get loose again? Mara followed him into the hallway in her robe, phone in hand, listening. The impacts were coming from the mudroom side of the house, where the back wall met the utility closet and the small enclosed porch that connected to the propane line run. That wall faced the goat pen on the other side. Pickles slammed it again, so hard the mudroom door trembled in its frame. Mara's first instinct was irritation, because Pickles could be dramatic if she wanted grain or if a raccoon had wandered too close. But then she heard the sound beneath the impacts, a strange, urgent bleating, harsh and repeated, nothing like Pickles's usual demanding noise. That was fear. Ben cracked the mudroom door and shone the flashlight through the window toward the pen. Pickles was there, right up against the house wall, head lowered, shoulders braced, launching herself into the boards with her whole body. Every impact made the siding snap and vibrate. Her eyes were wide, and she kept darting her head toward the corner where the propane line entered the house, then back to the wall, as if trying to break the barrier between them and something dangerous. Jesus, Ben muttered. She's gonna put her head through the siding. Mara's voice came tight. Why is she doing that? Ben reached for the back door lock. I'm going out there. Mara grabbed his arm. Wait! She didn't know why she said it. Maybe it was the way Pickles kept angling her head toward the utility corner. Maybe it was the way the air in the mudroom felt. Wrong. Warmer than it should, with a faint sharpness that didn't belong to wet boots and laundry detergent. Mara took a breath through her nose and smelled it. A thin, sickening odor. Sharp, chemical, unmistakable once you recognized it. Gas. Her stomach dropped so hard it felt like falling. Ben, she whispered, voice turning small. Do you smell that? Ben froze, nostrils flaring. His face changed instantly. Propane? Pickles slammed the wall again, as if to underline the point. Mara's hands went cold. Kids, now! Ben didn't hesitate. Mara, get the kids out, right now. No lights, no switches. Mara's training wasn't from any official course. It was from 1,000 rural warnings. Gas leaks meant you didn't create sparks. You didn't flip switches. You didn't start cars near the house. You got out and you called for help from a safe distance. She moved fast, heart pounding. She went to Noah's room first, shaking his shoulder gently but firmly. Noah, wake up. Shoes on. We're going outside. Noah blinked, confused. What? Why? Now, she said, and her tone told him not to argue. Sadie was already sitting up, hair wild. Is Pickles okay? Mara swallowed. Pickles is loud. We need to go outside for a minute, honey. Grab your jacket. Ben was in the hallway, flashlight in hand, but angled down, speaking low and fast. Front door, not the back. Don't touch the thermostat. Don't touch anything. They moved as a tight group, stepping carefully, avoiding switches, not even turning on the porch light. Mara grabbed her phone and keys on the way, only because they were already in her pocket and on the hook. She herded the kids out the front door into the cold night air, the moonlight bright enough to see the yard and the gravel drive. Pickles' impacts continued on the far side of the house. Thud. Then another. Thud. Like a desperate heartbeat. Ben followed them out and shut the door softly, not slamming it. He pointed them away from the house toward the end of the driveway near the mailbox, where the air would be clearer. Stay here, he told Mara. I'm shutting the tank valve. Mara grabbed his sleeve. Ben, don't. He shook his head, eyes hard. If the line is leaking inside, we need the source cut. I'll be fast. You call 911 and the gas company. Mara's fingers shook so badly she nearly dropped her phone. She stepped farther from the house, dialed emergency services, and forced her voice steady. We have a propane gas smell in the house, she said quickly. Rural address, Callahan Farm on Briar Hollow Road. We evacuated. My husband is shutting the tank valve. We need fire department and gas company. Dispatch responded instantly, asking if anyone was injured, if there were flames, if the tank was near the structure. Mara answered while watching Ben's silhouette move toward the propane tank pad behind the barn. Noah stood rigid beside her, eyes huge. Sadie clutched Mara's robe and whispered, Is the house gonna explode? Mara crouched to her level, fighting panic. No, baby, we're outside. Firefighters are coming. We're safe. Inside, she wasn't sure. A propane leak could ignite from a pilot light, a fridge compressor spark, static. They had done the right thing by leaving, but she could not control what happened in the walls. Ben reached the tank and turned the main valve shut with a wrench. He had one hanging on a hook nearby for exactly this. He moved with the careful urgency of someone who'd seen gas safety videos and always hoped he'd never need them. When he finished, he backed away and waved at Mara from across the yard, signaling he was coming back. And then, for the first time in nearly 10 minutes, Pickles stopped headbutting. The sudden silence was eerie. Mara turned her head toward the goat pen. In the dim moonlight, she could see Pickles standing still now, chest heaving, head raised, listening. She looked toward the house corner again, then toward the family gathered at the driveway. For one strange moment, it looked like she was checking whether they were out. Then she trotted away from the wall, back toward the pen gate, and began pacing restlessly. Ben reached them, breath steaming. Valves closed. Mara exhaled shakily. Good! Sirens arrived faster than she expected. Volunteer fire from town, plus the county sheriff, because dispatch always sent them with potential fire calls in rural areas. Red and blue lights washed the trees and the side of the house, and the sight made Mara's knees go weak with relief. Fire Captain Dana Lively stepped out, helmet on, face calm. She'd grown up in the county and had handled enough propane incidents to not waste time on drama. "Everyone accounted for?" Mara nodded. "Yes, 2 kids. We're out." Dana asked one question that cut straight through fear. "Any open flames? Any pilot lights you know of?" Ben answered. "Stove has pilot. Water heater, too." Dana nodded sharply. "All right, we treat this like active leak. Nobody goes inside. We'll monitor from outside and ventilate if safe. Gas company is en route." They deployed a gas meter near the mudroom wall and the utility closet vent. The meter chirped. Dana's expression tightened. "We've got gas concentration near the back wall. Good job evacuating. If you'd stayed—" She didn't finish, but Mara didn't need her to. Firefighters traced the line path. The propane line ran from the tank, under the lean-to, then along the exterior wall toward the utility closet where it fed the water heater and stove. A recent rain and soil shift had apparently loosened a buried section near the corner, stressing a joint. The leak likely started small and worsened, feeding gas into the enclosed mudroom cavity. And Pickles? Dana glanced toward the pen where the goat was still pacing. "That goat's the one making the noise?" Mara nodded, swallowing. "She was slamming the wall, over and over." Dana's mouth twitched into the faintest smile. "Smart goat. She probably smelled it first." The gas company technician arrived 20 minutes later and confirmed the leak near a compromised fitting under the utility entry. They clamped the line, vented the area safely, and declared the house safe to re-enter only after thorough airing out and inspections. The mudroom wall cavity had held a dangerous concentration, enough that a spark could have ignited it. Mara's legs nearly buckled when she heard the words "dangerous concentration." She kept imagining the alternate version. Ben opening the back door, flipping the mudroom light, the tiny spark inside the switch. She hugged Noah and Sadie so hard they protested. Noah, trying to sound brave, asked the firefighter, "So? Pickles saved us?" Dana answered honestly, in the practical voice of someone who'd seen too much to romanticize. "Pickles got your attention. You did the rest." When they were finally allowed back inside, the house smelled sharp and wrong, even after ventilation. The fire crew advised them to sleep elsewhere that night and have the line repaired properly in the morning. Ben agreed without argument. Mara packed overnight bags with shaking hands, still hearing the echo of thud against the wall in her head. Before they left, Mara walked to the goat pen with a flashlight and stood at the fence line. Pickles approached, sniffed, and then, as if nothing had happened, head-butted the gate once lightly, the normal version of her personality returning. Mara laughed once, shaky and wet-eyed. "You menace," she whispered. Pickles blinked at her, unimpressed. The next day, Ben replaced the compromised propane fitting and added a gas detector in the mudroom and utility closet. The fire captain insisted they install shut-off access and keep vegetation cleared around the line entry. The family did all of it. People in Briar Hollow heard the story before lunch because rural towns run on shared warnings as much as gossip. Versions spread fast. Pickles broke the wall down. Pickles dragged the kids out. Pickles sniffed the gas like a K9. Mara corrected what she could. "No," she told anyone who asked. "She just kept hitting the wall until we woke up and smelled it." That was enough, because the truth was already unbelievable in the way real things are. A stubborn goat that usually caused trouble had, on one ordinary night, become the loudest alarm in the house. And if she hadn't been, the Callahans might have slept right through a leak that didn't care about their plans. Weeks later, when the nights were warm again and the windows were open, Mara would sometimes catch herself listening for Pickles' hooves in the yard before bed. Not because she expected another emergency, she hoped she never had one again, but because she'd learned a hard lesson that didn't come from manuals or warnings printed on propane tanks. Sometimes, the first sign of danger isn't a smell you notice in time. Sometimes, it's a goat throwing its whole body against a wall like it's trying to break reality, until the humans finally wake up, step outside, and realize they were seconds away from losing everything.